Hey, what's going on, Weavers? Tim here again, and here are 5 time-consuming Paracord projects that you can do while self-isolating, social distancing, and self-quarantining. Well, okay, it's more than 5. I kinda lied, but here are 5 categories of Paracord projects to give you some ideas. So you may have seen some of these in the past and thought that you didn't have enough time for it, but seeing as how many of us have a lot of time on our hands now, let's revisit some of these great Paracord projects that will be time well spent. I've got over 700 plus videos on this channel, so let's take a look back at some gems you may have missed. All links for these projects will be in the top right corner and linked in the description. Number 1, Paracord wallets. So here are a couple of Paracord wallets that were a lot of fun to make and actually came out quite decently. The bifold wallet I made here came out a little small, so if I were to remake it, I would make it a bit larger as I underestimated the dimensions when I was doing it. However, the process did take a bit of time as we had to gut all the cord and flatten it before weaving. Overall though, I think this woven paracord wallet came out really great given the right color choices. Also, another small mistake I made was that I didn't wet my paracord ahead of time before ironing it, so I did end up with some shiny, slightly melted spots here and there. If you don't like bifold wallets, I did make this other slim paracord wallet much more simple, and it used a similar weaving technique as the bifold wallet. This one is a much more minimal card holder wallet. And adding to that, there is a third option with this Conquistador card holder wallet. Wasn't as time consuming as the bifold, but it's yet another option if you prefer this minimal style. And one way I would mod this one in retrospect is perhaps wrapping a silicone band or elastic material around it so that you can store some folded cash on the outside. And this Conquistador pattern leads us into our next category of projects, which are Conquistador projects. So the Conquistador weave is notorious for being time consuming as each knot needs to be woven with a fid, and it can take time to weave your entire project. However, the Conquistador pattern is one of the most versatile knots out there, and it can be used to make a wallet as you've seen, but also bracelets and even jewelry like this ring. Working with different diameter cords can drastically change the look and application of the Conquistador knots, so don't be afraid to experiment and play around with these projects that you've been putting off. Our third category, master the monkey's fist. As you've seen, there are a few monkey's fist videos on this channel, maybe just a few, so it would be a great time to master the art of monkey's fists, which sounds like some sort of 1970s kung fu movie, but it isn't. Anyhow, tying the perfect monkey's fist definitely does take practice to know how to keep the passes even and lined up, and also how to tighten it properly. Usually the more passes you do and the larger the monkey's fist, the more increasingly difficult it can be to get your monkey's fist to look good. So I would suggest practicing larger monkey's fists if you haven't mastered it already. You can always move up from a marble to a 1-inch steel ball, which is 5 passes, to a 1.5 inch, which is 8 passes, and then finally the pool ball, which is 2.25 inches at 11 passes. Once you have the principles of tying this iconic knot down, you can then focus on the nuances of getting the passes perfect and the monkey's fist the perfect tension. I'll have my most important monkey's fist videos in a playlist linked in this video. From there, you can transform the monkey's fist into a multitude of different projects, from keychains to skill toys to impact tools. I've done a few different paracord pouches and cases on this channel, and if you've ever wanted to add some paracord to your everyday carry gear, these would make some great additions. 2 of these projects use the same weaving technique as we did with the bifold wallet, which once again is a bit time consuming, but that's the name of the game. The coin pouch I made here has been super useful and fun to carry around, great for when you need that random quarter to unlock a shopping cart. The multi-tool pouch I created using mated snake knots came out really nicely. It was a bit time consuming interconnecting the snake knots, but actually once I got into it, the project was completed in a reasonable amount of time. One way I would change this multi-tool pouch is perhaps to add a retaining strap of some sort to really ensure the multi-tool doesn't slip out. However, that being said, there is enough tension to hold it in, but if you're hanging upside down like Batman, it just might fall out. And perhaps one of my more complicated projects was this Paracord phone case. Is it the most practical phone case? Maybe not, but it sure does look cool. And in retrospect, I would mod this one by perhaps gutting the cord for the cobra knots around the side to minimize the overall footprint of the belt case. But that being said, it still does work perfectly. And our last category, number 5, make a complicated bracelet. There are a lot of complex paracord bracelet designs out there, not only the ones on this channel, but if you've ever been putting off doing a more complex paracord bracelet because you think it's going to take too much time, well, now's the time. I've got a small selection here of a few time-consuming or more intermediate level bracelets, but I will include more for the playlist. And these are the mated snake knot, which has always been an attractive pattern. You can really play around with the color combos on this one. The cobra knuckle, which has always been a favorite of mine as well. These side knuckle knots can be a little tricky on this one, hence the time-consuming nature. The fury knot, which looks great, especially with different colored core strands, and this one takes a bit of time too. Lastly, the spinal Bane's cuff. Absolutely love this one, and the Bane's cuff is definitely one of my favorites of all time. So what I'll do, as I mentioned earlier, is link a playlist of bracelets that I think are a bit more on the intermediate or advanced side, and you can all definitely check those out and maybe finally get to that one bracelet you've been putting off. And there we have it, folks. I hope you found some inspiration through this video, and if you've been needing a project to spend some time on, I hope you find it. I would also like to give a huge thank you to all those out there that are working essential jobs out there on the front lines. Although many of us have been going crazy being cooped up all the time, we shouldn't forget those who are still going out to work and don't have a choice to stay home, especially those working at hospitals being the ones most at risk. That being said, a huge thank you to all my Patreon supporters. If you want access to exclusive tutorials as well as our Discord server, feel free to check out my Patreon page, link in the cards as well as down below. You can join for as little as $3 a month. You can also support this channel by liking the video and commenting. Also, feel free to subscribe if you haven't already. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to check out what I have to offer on the rest of my channel.